Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today, I want to do an episode on how to enter into the large sums of money mindset. I have two videos on the channel that are my most popular videos, and several others where I have discussed this technique. I wanted to dedicate an episode beyond just the affirmation. I want to discuss how you can get into the large sums of money mindset. At the very beginning of my channel, I introduced this affirmation. It didn't come entirely from me. It is a combination of different affirmations that I pulled from different people. Originally, there was a smaller portion of this affirmation that I got from Bob Proctor, the great Bob Proctor that recently passed away. This affirmation had begun to change my mindset around money. The way that he gave it was, I'm so happy and grateful that money comes to me easily and quickly from multiple sources on a continuous basis. That was the affirmation. And I would say that all the time, and I would start to see money come to me easily and quickly. And I would see money coming to me on a continuous basis. It was a small amount of money, but I would actually see the flow of this money and it would come to me. So as I started to use this affirmation, it evolved and developed over time. There are several versions. I have one shorter meditation where I use one aspect of this affirmation, and as I've worked with others, this affirmation has evolved. It started out as large sums of money, and I would add the large sums to the beginning of it. Large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all that I get to keep. I added large sums of money to the beginning. I added in the best interest of all, and I added that I get to keep. The reason for this, I will explain later as I break down this affirmation. Then I created a sleep meditation that also used this affirmation, but we expanded upon it. Originally, I said that I get to keep. The reason for that was I didn't want to get the money and then have to immediately spend it on some debt that I had. But more and more people gave advice and suggestions through my Facebook group, and so we expanded it. So it said that I get to keep, give, spend joyously. Some people have wanted to add circulate or invest. And so the end of this is constantly evolving and changing because the way we use the money is how you resonate. But we can certainly evolve and add and create new affirmation with this, which we'll develop over the course of this episode. The thing that is so wonderful to me is the many different people that have reached out to me and had amazing success from this affirmation. And I really wanted to dedicate an episode on how to get into this mindset, to give some examples of what it means. And perhaps we can even update this affirmation a little bit so that you can use it for yourself. As we have learned, every affirmation you must adjust for yourself. Every word is important and you must let it resonate. But it's much more comprehensive and much more powerful than simply saying I'm wealthy or I am abundant. For many of us, those sort of affirmations at the beginning of this process are powerful. But the seeming vagueness of these affirmations take away some of its power. Yes, I'm abundant. I have lots of grass in my front yard and I need to keep on mowing it. I have an abundance of grass in my front yard. Every single word that you use is important in relation to another. The shocking and wonderful and powerful thing is the number of comments I get on these videos. I wanted to read some to you so that you know that this really, really works. For instance, just 2 months ago, I got a comment from Only One who said, "Oh my God, y'all, this works. After 2 days of listening, I've already manifested over $4,800. Thank you, Brian, for posting this." Update. I've been listening to this and another subliminal for a month now. My relationship with money has totally shifted. I currently have money coming in from 5 different sources. I always have more than enough money in my bank accounts. I consistently get discounts and reduction on bills, constant job offers, and tons of clients seeking my services. Money problems have disappeared. Another said, "This is by far the best sleep hypnosis ever. I've manifested money literally every single day for 10 consecutive days, and today I received $40,000. Wasn't expecting that at all. Super easy too. I have other things that I want, and I know I will get it this month." Matthew Wurzma said, "I've been listening to this on and off for days. I've found $20. All the signs were telling me to buy a lotto ticket. I won $500. It may not be an extremely large sum of money, but a heck of a come up. Thank you, Brian." Starkeisha Blackwell said, "Thank you for this affirmation. I listen to Bob Proctor every morning after I listen to your affirmation, and I did it for 3 days. On the third day, I had manifested a little over $14,000. Ansley Dawkins says, "I listened and went through this exercise for about a week or so. At first, I didn't listen to it every day. Then I started to, and within a week, I manifested over $7,150. It seems unreal, but these exercises to manifest really work. Thanks for sharing this valuable content and affirmation." One of my favorite things is to wake up and look at the comments on these videos because it just makes me so excited and happy. For instance, Melanie Oliver says, "Wow, 2 days ago, after listening to this affirmation, I won $500, and today I won $300. Thanks so much for sharing this." Young Gold Ladder said, "I swear I've been sleeping under this affirmation for the past 3 weeks, and I've materialized a raise at my job, and $25,000 showed up in my bank account. Money is showing up all around me. This video is powerful, and it works if you work it." Aaliyah J said, "This works so fast. I've only been listening to it for a few days, and I just won a $20,000 giveaway. I'm so incredibly grateful. I now have enough money to pay rent for the whole year and the rest of my tuition. I'm so thankful. I never realized this could work so quickly. Thank you endlessly." Elena B wrote, "This was and is, for me, the best money meditation with incredible fast and consistent results. Shortly after listening for about 2 weeks, received sales that normally are not that big. I made around £700 monthly from sales on eBay, like crazy, and just bigger and bigger. First, a £900 day, then a £4,000 that was just unexpected, plus much more. I'm grateful to have found this and grateful to Brian for doing this." I suggest that you go to those 2 videos and scroll through the many, many wonderful comments that people are giving. I could sit and read all these comments. It would take an entire episode. The point of me reading this is to simply show you that the large sums of money mindset, when you enter into it, it works. Miracles are happening. Wonderful experiences are happening. We could sit and read so many more incredible comments. I sometimes don't believe it myself. And there are people that come on and make comments, they simply don't believe it themselves. But it's real. And it's working for so many people. So I want to take it to the next step. I want to talk about the large sums of money mindset. I want to get you into this mindset. I want to go back and maybe give you my story about what happened to me personally. I had been in the mortgage business and in sales for a long time, and it was never good. I was selling stuff that I didn't believe in, that probably wasn't good for people. I was in a corporate environment, sitting in a cubicle all the time. In some jobs I had in those businesses, I would work 12, 15 hours a day. Commission-only jobs. And so I decided I wanted to find my own business where I was my own boss. But I needed to make money. I'm living in California. The rent payments are crazy. I got to take care of my kids. And so for a long time, I stuck with these old jobs because in my mind, that was all that I could do to make money. My source was these businesses, these sales businesses. And in my mind, I need to make more money, so I need to find a better place to work. They'll give me better leads. They'll give me better opportunities. I would just sit in those cubicles, and I just hated that existence so much. So around 2008, the mortgage market collapsed, and a lot of what I was able to sell didn't work anymore. And the market collapsed, and I was living in a home, started to go into foreclosure, and I had massive debts. I mean, I would use my credit cards to find ways to pay for my dinner, to take care of myself. And I would sometimes consider, well, at least I have $2,000 on this credit card. In my mind, that was my abundance. I had that $2,000 on my credit card. I just make the monthly credit card payments. But I knew it wasn't going to work. Some other mortgage companies started to call me, and I just didn't want it. My heart said, no, you got to do something else. My father had been a self-employed veterinarian, but I could see that that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be self-employed. And I will say as a side note, you don't need to be self-employed to enter the large sums of money mindset. But it does help. And I do suggest it, even if you're in a job, you want to have the mindset of being self-employed, because when you're in a job, sometimes you think, well, that's my only source of income. You can have a job and you can have other sources of income coming in, but I was broke and I had nothing. And I was scared, borrowing money from my dad. I had my kids, my house, and I was going to lose it, and I didn't know what to do, and I was scared. So what I started to do was look at ways I could make money from what I had in my house. I had a lot of books, and I knew I needed to get rid of them. I could sell my books. I had some DVDs, video games. So I started to sell those on eBay and Amazon, and I would sell those on a regular basis. One day, I had a book that I had sold on Amazon. It was very important that I send the book out, or I would get a bad feedback rating, the tracking wouldn't show, and I didn't have the book. I just didn't have it. So I knew I had to send the book to them, so I looked and found a place where I could order the book and send it to the customer. And in that moment, I realized I'm still making money on this. They had spent $6 and I could ship it to them for $4. And then I started to look at some other places where I could sell something that I didn't have and then have someone else ship it to them. So for a while there, I started to sell books where I could drop ship them. I would have the book available for sale, and then I would have to ship it. This was great, but eventually it required me to spend a lot of time ordering books that people had ordered from me. And it was very time consuming, but it allowed me to become self-employed. And then over time, each of those books became a source of income for me. But then sometimes some sources would die out and I'd have to add others. Over time, I realized that I could not depend entirely on this business. I needed other sources of income. So I would offer coaching services, hypnosis services, NLP services. I would start to write down all the things that I was qualified to do and find ways to offer services for them in some way, shape, or form. And when I did, I would have another source of income over here. Then I could invest in, just enough so that I could invest in some real estate and maybe get rent from real estate over here. I was not in the large sums of money mindset yet. I actively started really researching the law of attraction because it was my only hope. I wanted to use my mind to generate money so I could survive. I wanted to use this to maybe make my businesses better. And so I would do it. I would really imagine that feeling of making money, and I would make like $1 or $2 or $3, or I'd find some money on the street, or something would come in. And as I had been taught from the books that I read and the coaches that I talked to, I had to treat those as a blessing. And I did. If I received a penny, I would be excited about it, but it still was never enough to cover bills. And I had all that accumulated debt from what I had gone through before. I was still paying on it. I was struggling to pay it. Creditors are coming to my door. I believe it was Jake Ducey had a video where he talked about the difference between generating just regular income and large sums of money. And the idea of adding that to the affirmation came to me, this wonderful affirmation that Bob Proctor had created. What if I just say, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly? So I added that in. And then I would start to see these amazing opportunities. I'd get an easy job on the weekend. I'd make $500. Somebody would send me a couple $1,000s. I have a family member that needs to help me out that sends me something. I'd have crazy little things that were coming. A couple times I would get money, but it would be a one-shot deal. I could go and do this one thing. It's a one-shot deal. I'd make a couple thousand. So I continued to do this affirmation and really emphasized on a continuous basis. So going back to the affirmation, remember, we're talking about large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, invest, circulate joyously. That's where we're at right now. I had realized I couldn't depend on one source of income. I created a Spotify store. I had my eBay store going. Each of these things became little bits and sources of income. But some of them would die out. I'd find a product that'd be great, or I'd come upon some cool antique that I'd find at a garage sale and I'd be able to sell it and I'd make a couple $1,000 from it. That would be it. Or I'd find an old comic book that I'd be able to sell and I'd make some money on it, but that would be it. So I started to really emphasize on a continuous basis. So I started to have opportunities in businesses that aligned where it wasn't just a one-shot deal. I would get this on a continuous basis and it would come to me regularly. And as I emphasized this in my affirmation, I started to notice that these sources didn't dry up. It wasn't a one-shot deal. I also started to have some situations arise where I could get some money, but it would be very difficult. It would take me months and months. I'd have to do some sign-ups, I'd have to do a bunch of work, and I'd have to go through some paperwork to get it, and I'd have to have several meetings, and it was difficult. So I remembered going back to that affirmation, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly. And I emphasized it easily and quickly. And as I emphasized that, I wouldn't have to wait months to get the money that I needed. I'd start to get it quicker and easier just by saying that and feeling that and emphasizing that. Large sums of money come to me easily and quickly. But as I started to develop these businesses that I had, I noticed that some of them would slowly start to die out. I might make $100 or $200 or $1,000, and then the next month it would be $900. Then it kind of went down to $800, and then I just wasn't making enough on any of them. I was getting multiple sources, and it was fairly easy for me to do it. I wasn't having to work a long time, except for my bookstore business, and I was still spending a long time. But I started to really emphasize increasing quantities. So I would start to really emphasize that large sums of money were coming to me in increasing quantities. And as I did that, I had changes in my business. I had changes in the things that I was doing. And I started to notice that the money would come to me on an increasing basis. Sometimes a little bit. I'd make like a couple bucks more that month and a couple bucks more here this month. But each month it would be a little bit more and it would increase. And then I started to emphasize that it was on a continuous basis. And so the money from these different businesses that I formed became continuous. Now, the key to this mindset is I continued to look for additional sources of income. Do not rest on your laurels. As you continue to fall into the large sums of money mindset, you continue to keep your mind open and look for opportunities. And as you say this affirmation, you're going to be given opportunities. Hey, there's this new opportunity you have, super easy. I would start to see investment opportunities and other easy businesses for me to invest to and look into and participate in that allowed for increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis. And it's amazing because a lot of these were super easy, not difficult at all. Then I started to run into another problem, and that was I started to make some money from my bookstore and other businesses, but I had loans out that helped me participate in these businesses. And so as soon as I would make the money, I would have to pay it. In some cases, I had a $100,000 loan and I would have to make a $20,000 payment. I had been crazy in the things that I did, but it was very, very disturbing because I would make a large sum of money and then I would immediately have to pay it out. So I started to emphasize that I get to keep this money. And I started to really imagine what it would be like to get the money and then it stays in my bank account. I don't have to pay it out to anyone else. Each of the components of this affirmation are critical to the overall mindset. What often happens is we make some money in a job or someplace, and then that becomes our focus. And we spend all our time making money from this source or place. Then we stress out when we worry that we're going to lose this source. But when you're making money from multiple sources, it doesn't matter anymore. I reached a point recently where I didn't want to work anymore on my bookstore, and I had accumulated a number of other opportunities that I let the bookstore go because it didn't resonate with me as much, and I was able to move on from the bookstore. But once you get the money, you also have to affirm what you're going to do with it. Are you going to spend it? Are you going to circulate it? Are you going to give it? Are you going to invest it? Once you have all this money, you need to build into your affirmation what you're going to do with it. We are trying to affirm the ultimate wealth mindset. The ultimate wealth mindset sees that you are the source. You are the source of your income. It is not from your parents. It is not from someone else. It is not from your boss. It is you that is the source. And you are gathering all these sources of income all around you. Multiple sources mean that you are the source. Now, we may make an adjustment here. We could always add, I'm happy and grateful. I am so happy and grateful that large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, invest, and circulate joyously. There's some other aspects we can also add to this. Some people like to add God willing to their affirmations and have found that they find greater success. You can say, I am so happy and grateful that God willing, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, circulate, and invest joyously. Once you start to repeat this affirmation, each portion of the affirmation becomes a part of your life. At first, when you start to say this affirmation or listen to it as a sleep meditation, it sort of comes in and out and you don't think about it. But each portion of this affirmation gives you the key to your ultimate abundance and wealth. We are not talking about making money in a single time from a single place that is difficult or hard. If you're like me, you've had moments where you could make $20,000, but it would require you to fill out a ton of paperwork, jump through a bunch of hoops, work tons of hours, and you don't know for sure if you get it, but you kind of do over a period of time, and it's just hard. So you want it to be easy. You want it to be quick. A lot of formats out there will pay you months later for something that you do. You might do something and you get paid 2 or 3 months later. So as I emphasized easily and quickly, I started receiving the money faster. It would come right away. The money has to be easy. You don't want to struggle with it. The word easy also implies that you're not working hard on it. The point is, you want this money to become passive at some point. If you can write a book, if you can create a song, if you can create a painting, there are things that you can do that will create passive income in your life. Rental income. There are certain things that you can sell that you can regenerate, like the drop shipping that I mentioned earlier. That is one focus of the easy income. Some, it might be that you only have to work an hour or 2 a week doing this thing. Maybe you have a business cleaning windows and you can go through and clean these windows. It takes you a couple hours and you get a ton of money for it. Or you have a business where you're cleaning windows. You have other people doing it for you and you have to kind of show up and help them out for a couple hours and you're done. There are a million different examples of this. I had a friend that started using this affirmation and then suddenly realized, hey, I know how to clean pools. I don't really want to spend a lot of time cleaning pools, but I know several people that can do it. So they asked their friends if they could work for them. They found a reasonable wage to pay them and then put some flyers up around town. And suddenly they had their friends cleaning pools and they had their own business. They would collect the check and they would just manage the people that would go and clean the pools. It took them a couple hours. They had another job at the same time. Also, you begin to look at your own job that you're doing now and you find that it's easier. You find ways that it's easier. You've continued to affirm this over and over, so your mind pops up and says, this is difficult right now. I'm not affirming this reality. And then you start to get ways that you can make that job easier. Once you start to look for something, you will always find it. There's a reticular activating device within your mind that is amazing. And once you seek something, you will find it. So when you start to look for things that are easy, that are quick, you will find them. The key point to the whole affirmation is multiple sources. Multiple sources. So many people find a great job that they love so much, and that is all they do. They think it's enough, pay their rent with it, and then 20 years down the line, they get fired, or they get outsourced, or the business dries up. Then what do? You have to start all over again. But if you had been affirming this reality that multiple sources of income are coming to you, then if that one job falls away, it's fine. You already have 6 or 7 others that you've slowly developed over time. Continue to affirm this. What happens a lot is that people will affirm this a few times, they get some money, and then they stop. Don't rest on your laurels with this affirmation. It is continuous. Continue to affirm it at least once a day. I am so happy and grateful that, God willing, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, invest, and circulate joyously. Now, the key point to this is in the best interest of all. I had another business that I was doing that I didn't feel good about. Felt like I was ripping people off. The amount of money that was being charged was too much. It really didn't feel like it was in the best interest of all. But you have to ask yourself, what is in the best interest? By affirming it, you will naturally find jobs that are in the best interest of all. And as you continue to affirm it, it becomes this sort of knowing. If this opportunity is coming to me, it's in the best interest of all. And if this opportunity is falling away, it's not in the best interest of all. You don't want to be in a situation where you're stealing money. You don't want to be the robber. You don't want to rob banks to do this. We always have opportunities. It's an amazing thing. There's always some sort of catalyst that will present itself to you in the process of making money, where, hey, I can do this thing, and it's sort of a ripoff, or people don't know the whole truth of it. When I was in the mortgage business, I started out in the subprime business, and I could make really good money, but I would sell these mortgages that had a fixed rate for 2 or 3 years and a prepayment penalty for 5 years. And so they would start out at a low payment and then for 3 years be forced to pay this exorbitant payment that was increasing and adjusting all the time. And they had to pay a penalty of thousands of dollars to get out of the loan. When I was just starting out, I thought, oh, this is just normal. And boy, that's some great money. Oh, I love this money so much. Then a couple years later, they're calling me saying, Brian, what did you do? I felt terrible about it. I carried guilt for some of the things that I had sold in the past. If you're a car salesman and you sell somebody a car and you know that that car is going to break down or there's something wrong with it, but you don't tell them, that's not in the best interest of all. If you continue to affirm that you're finding sources of income that are in the best interest of all, then you'll know that whatever you did in that situation was in the best interest of all. Oftentimes, you really don't know what is in the best interest of all. So by affirming this on a regular basis, you can assume that whatever is happening, it is in the best interest of all. So what I want you to do is write down this affirmation on a piece of paper. Write down the parts that resonate with you and take out the parts that don't. Each part and portion has its own intention and purpose. You can start by saying, I'm happy and grateful. That just gives you that feeling of gratitude that is the energetic signature of the wealth that you want. God willing, which affirms that God is willing this into creation, as you are God. Large sums of money. This just affirms that you want large sums of money. Everybody's going to imagine the sum of money differently. For some, a large sum of money is $500. For some, a large sum of money is $1 million. So I'm so happy and grateful now that God willing, large sums of money comes to me. The comes to me is important. The large sums of money aren't just being manifested like you're seeing a large sum of money on TV. It's not somebody else that you're seeing that's making the money. It comes to you, comes to me easily and quickly. So the money that you're making is easy and quick in increasing quantities. So the amount of money that you're making increases from multiple sources, that you're getting it from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that you get to keep, give, spend, invest, circulate joyously. The last word, joyously, is important. For some people, money is a fearful thing. When they spend it, they're afraid to spend it. The energetic signature of spending money and being afraid, oh, I don't know if I have enough to spend. So you're spending it joyously in this new state, because if you have large sums of money coming to you on a regular basis, when you spend it, it's joyous. You're not worried about it. So once again, I'm so happy and grateful now. God willing, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, invest, circulate joyously. Write those words down on a piece of paper. I recommend that you write them down and you put them up on the wall. Eventually, it'll just soak in. If you want to, put them up in the bathroom, right on the mirror when you brush your teeth. You memorize this. It comes to you. You say it when you drive. You say it when you're exercising. You say it to yourself as you go to sleep. You say it to yourself when you wake up. But I want you to write this down on a piece of paper, and then I want you to break it up and start to look at your own situation currently. I want you to write out your bills, write out what your monthly payments are, and I want you to begin to imagine a script where large sums of money come to you. Imagine what it's like. Write down the different scenarios that might happen to you. Money comes in your bank account. Whatever it is, I want you to imagine that money coming to you. Go through each portion of the affirmation. Money's coming to you easily and quickly. Where have you had money that came to you easily and quickly in the past? Where could you get it in the future? Ask yourself a question. How can I make large sums of money easily and quickly? Just ask yourself the question. If there is a part of you that balks at that or laughs at that, then you have to encounter this resistance. You need to write it down and say, when have I made large sums of money easily and quickly? What can I do to make large sums of money easily and quickly in increasing quantities? When have you made large sums of money that started to increase in quantity? When have you seen it in others? When have you read about it? What options and opportunities might you think of where you can make large sums of money that increasing quantities from multiple sources? This is the key part of this affirmation. Write down the sources of your income, where you're receiving them. It could be something very simple. You might be making $10 here, $10 there. Sometimes we make money from little things that you're not aware of. Write down all the sources of income that you are currently making. Put them down on a piece of paper on a continuous basis. So the important part is, where can you find money that you'll make regularly? Not a one-shot deal, not for a couple of months, but on a regular and continuous basis. Write it down. Imagine it. Imagine the money coming to you on a continuous basis. What is the feeling of that? What does that mean to you? Money coming to you on a continuous basis. It means that you're secure, that you can depend on it, that you know it's coming, that when you receive the money, there's a portion of your mind that says, yeah, I'm going to receive that next month too. I can depend on this money. It is continuous. When have you felt it in the past? How would it feel for you to have money coming on a continuous basis? Then write in the best interest of all and look at the money you're receiving now. Is it in the best interest of all? What money can you make that is in the best interest of all? Oftentimes, by asking this question, you will find new sources of money. There are things and services that you can offer that are unique to you, that are amazing, that are in the best interest of all. You have a unique and powerful purpose. I promise you, there are things that you can do that can provide a source of income to you that is absolutely in the best interest of all. Just by writing it down, but the ideas that come up, asking yourself questions, and really going into the feeling of it. The best interest of all that you get to keep. Now, I don't know about your money flow situation. I don't know how much money you have going in and out, but here you can look at what your monthly debts are and how much money that you would need to make so that the money that you receive, you would get to keep. It's money that you can put in your savings account, that you can set aside, that you can put in your retirement account, that you can give to others, that you can invest, whatever it is that you want to do. You are free with your choices to use that money. If you're saying this affirmation quickly, you can just say get to keep, because you know what you want to do with your money. But if you are struggling with that, you can add these additional layers to the affirmation. But I want you to really imagine that. Now that you've written down your debts, the source of income that you're making, I want you to look at what it is that you would need to make on a regular basis that you would get to keep. You know what your monthly debts are, your monthly bills are, you know how much you need to make. And so that amount starts to become a focal point, and you would get to keep it. And then you start to imagine the amount you're getting is increasing, and it's increasing, and you're getting to keep more and more. You're spending it, you're giving it away. Imagine having enough money where you could give it. You don't know what to do with it. You're going to give it. Who are you going to give your money to? Where would it feel good to give your money to? How can you be of the ultimate best service by giving your money? This is a fun part of this affirmation. It is a joyous and wonderful thing. There are places that you would love to give money that would feel good to you, that could really change the world. And if you're making enough where you're secure and you feel good, your debts are paid, and you're doing all the things that you love and enjoy, then you'll have some more that you can start to give. Giving money always comes back to you tenfold. Affirming that you have enough money to give is a part of this process. Obviously, if you have bills that are $2,000 and you're only making $1,000, you're not going to be able to give very much. So if you have money to give, then it's important. And go into the state of giving money. Imagine giving that money. How does it feel to give that money with no worries about running out of money? You know you're going to have more next month. You're going to have more next month after that. So you're giving, you're investing. Imagine where you would invest your money. Are you going to put it in Bitcoin? Are you going to invest it in gold or stocks? Which stocks are you going to invest it in? Start to go through a list of things that you can invest it in. I recommend that you read Tony Robbins' book, Money Master the Game. He'll go through all the different ways that you can invest your money and put you in that money mindset where you're making a lot of money and how you would invest it on a large scale so that you can be financially free. How you're going to circulate it. And then how you're spending this money joyously, that it's fun to spend. You can't wait to spend it. You have so much to spend, you don't know what to do with it. It's joyous, it's fun, it feels good to spend it. A lot of people actually are fairly wealthy, but they create an energetic signature with the money that they have that When they spend it, it's agonizing to them, makes them sick. They got to keep it all and save it all. It's not about the money. It really isn't. It's about the love in this world. It's not about the things that you get, and you'll be able to get all the things you want. It's about the experiences that you can have, the relationships that you can have. This is all a means to an end. This allows you to be of the greatest service to the most people. It allows you to have the greatest freedom to follow your spiritual path. Somebody that is poor simply cannot have the time and the energy to seek out the things they need to do spiritually to move to the next level. There's no reason for you to feel guilty about the money that you're making. When you're saying the affirmation, also say it again and really question yourself. Does this make me feel guilty? Is this wrong? I very much promise I'm going to go through the comments, and I bet you at least one person is going to comment, "Oh, Brian, you're such a sellout. It's all about the money." First of all, I'm going to tell you that you probably didn't listen to the video. It is not about the money. But for people that are struggling to survive, if they haven't resolved this issue, their root chakra is closed and they're not going to do the things they need to do. They're not going to be meditating the way they want to. They're not going to be reading the materials they want. They're not going to be seeking out and giving the service that they would usually give, because you're in that frightened survival state. And that's a tough state to be in. Now, there are 3 meditations you can do on the channel, and all of them are a little bit different. I have the sleep meditation, which has the longer version of the affirmation. I have a short meditation, which has the shorter version. I also have the quantum jumping into the large sums of money meditation, which you quantum jump into a world where large sums of money comes to you. Each of them have their place. First of all, you're affirming it. Then you're building it into your subconscious mind with the sleep meditation, and then the quantum jump helps you to imagine and move into the reality where you're actually receiving and flowing with this large sum of money in the manner that we have described. It's simple, but it really rewards you to take some time. And when you have things come up, you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I've affirmed that." So you have a business that shuts down and you say, "It's on a continuous basis." So something happens and it comes back. Continue affirming this at least once a day or more often. Everybody's a little different. If you're scared and you don't have any money coming in, affirm it even more. Affirm it with feeling. And read the comments on these videos if you're struggling believing that it works. If you're somebody that doesn't believe that affirmations work, I'm sorry to break it to you, but they do. Affirmations are thoughts. You're giving yourself a thought and a state. Obviously, if you are affirming this and you're thinking of the opposite of a lack and poverty state, it will not work. Affirmations by themselves do not work. You have to affirm this and get into the feeling of it and the mindset of it and think about the aspects of it. Break down every single word. And if there is a word in this affirmation that does not resonate with you, then change it. If you are feeling guilty when you say it, address that. Why do you feel guilty? Resolve that. Listen to The Science of Getting Rich. That's a good place to start if you're struggling with your guilt around the money. I want you to really question yourself when you say these affirmations. If you produce lack thoughts or worried thoughts, I want you to address that. Write it down. Why do you feel this way? Continue to affirm this. I promise you that it's going to work. It may not work right away, but oftentimes it does. As I showed in reading just those few comments, there are hundreds more comments. I could have stretched this video out for another 30 minutes just reading the comments. It is so unbelievable. Just open up those videos and read the comments. It is amazing. If you could just see the emails that I receive, they blow my mind. I take no credit for this affirmation. Obviously, it's a hodgepodge of a number of affirmations I'd already used in the past. I'm just sharing what I learned from it, how I've applied it, and how I put together my own affirmation from it. And more importantly, from this process, I want you to learn how to create your own affirmation. As you do this, you might add new aspects to your wealth state that you want to add to it, and there's always a place that you can add to it. You are wealthy. You are prosperous. You are the source of your income. You are powerful and you are infinite. And I want you to acknowledge that. Your words have power. You are the word. And when you say these words, they will change your life. Yes, money doesn't buy happiness, but it can certainly provide the channels that bring you happiness and experiences into your life. It's a part of the third density world that we're living in. We have an economy. We have to pay for food. We have to pay for shelter. We have to take care of our kids. You need to make money. We don't live in a Star Trek world, but we will someday. As we become instantaneous manifestors, there will be no need for money. But we're in that period now where we do. And once you get over this and resolve it, you can move on to even more incredible levels of creation. But if you're struggling with money, then go back to this affirmation and say it. I am so happy and grateful that, God willing, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, invest, and circulate joyously. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.